Hello everyone. Unexpectedly, I am making another video today. Now, I was just in the midst of trying to sleep, doing a little doom scrolling. At the end of the day, I do fall for it as well. And I was thinking about Evernight, right? Because I've been having a lot of fun with my E2 Evernight as of recent. And a interesting topic kind of just came up in my head, did a little more research on it, and I even made a small community post about it, which was RMC, right? RMC is very strong, and despite what a lot of people, including me, thought about Cyrene being the RMC replacement, to be honest, Cyrene just further increases RMC's value. And it's because of this where I've genuinely started to consider the possibility that it is genuinely worth it to invest into a Lycone, a premium one, for RMC. Now there are two main contenders in this case scenario, being Hyocine's Lycone and Cyrene's Lycone. If you're using non-HP scalers, it's probably just always best to go for Cyrene's Lycone, as its pure buffing capability is higher with no downtime once you get it up. But Hyocine's Lycone for characters like Jingliu, Blade, and as well as Evernight has noticeably more value, and so you'd rather use that, right? I say this because RMC is no slacker, right? Even though this guy is completely free, he is probably one of, if not the most general unit, just buffing unit in the entirety of the game, because true damage works for literally everything, and he gives action advance, which is another incredibly valuable thing for a character to be able to give. And so once you look at these Lycones, they're pretty strong, right? Cyrene's Lycone, once you use a memo skill attack on enemies and you buff an ally, you get 20% vulnerability and as well as 32% crit damage. That's a very, very hefty buff for a Lycone. If you were to remove the, gimmick that Triby's true damage has, and you just looked at the flat 24% true damage increase, Cyrene's Lycone on RMC is basically competitive in terms of pure amp, assuming there are no other sources of vulnerability to Triby's E1, right? That is pretty strong in of itself. And then you have Hyocine's Lycone. Now this one gives 2% less vulnerability, it expires every 2 turns, and it has no crit damage buff. But it drains HP. So for Blade, this contributes towards his follow-up stacks. For Jingliu, it contributes to more of her Sigi stacks, whatever they're called, for basically infinite enhanced skill uptime. And then for Evernight, this is probably the biggest benefiter of Hyocine Lycone users, is the HP drain, gives her noticeably more Memoria stacks, allowing her to spam her attacks more and do more damage with them, right? So I usually wouldn't really consider this because this is the MC, upcoming new MC could possibly make the older one worse. I don't think this is going to be the case this time though, right? You can say this is cope. I 100% admit I could be incorrect. I could instantly be proven wrong the second we step foot into Edostar. But the reason I think this way is I don't think Elation MC is going to be like RMC. I think Elation MC is going to be much more like HMC. And don't get me wrong, HMC was kind of the beginning of the Trailblazer having very broken paths, but you'll notice HMC is basically tied to an archetype, which is Super Break, right? So if you're not taking advantage of Super Break, to be honest, there's no reason to be putting HMC on your account or team at all. And so I think Elation MC will be this exact same scenario, while RMC is the most general unit we have in the entirety of the game. So yes, short term, EMC will have value for the newest Elation characters until his replacement comes at some point. But once his replacement comes, he loses all value, right? I think that this case scenario is much more likely than EMC being stronger than RMC and more general than RMC. I think that is highly, highly unlikely in my opinion. And the reason I think so strongly that EMC is just going to lose value way faster than RMC is that the leakers have already leaked that Hoyo has plans for the entire Elation team to be completely premium units from something called like the Battleship, right? It's supposed to be a bunch of Elation premium units. So this obviously means Elation MC is meant to get kicked out. And once again, unlike RMC, you simply aren't going to get that general value where you can use this character in almost everywhere that you are with EMC. As the leakers have also said, Elation teams and Elation characters are specifically meant to be ran with other Elation, partners, supports, whatever, right? So, for those curious, the buffs you get from, let's say, a RMC with Sirene's Lycone is 36% minimum to 50% true damage buff. Then you as well have his Kit's crit damage buff. I don't remember the specific number on it. Then with Sirene Lycone, you add 20% vulnerability and then 32% crit damage. Those are hefty fucking buffs, okay? I'm pretty sure this makes him the strongest one cost buffing support in the entirety of the game. And it's like, I won't say it's not close, but he does have a bit of a noticeable lead, even over someone like Trivy, right? So keep that in mind. Very, very strong buffing capability for a free character. And then with Hyacine Lycone, although the buffs become semi-worse, with it now being downgraded to 18% vulnerability and no crit damage buff from the Lycone, you do get the HP drain, which, as I mentioned earlier, some HP scalers such as Blade, Jingliu, and Evernight can take incredibly good advantage of. I'd say I'd consider it, right? I'm not saying you need to do this. I'm not saying it's like a must-pull thing. RMC is already strong as is, and he's one of the few characters slash buffers with a very, very solid free-to-play Lycone to work with, both in the MOC shop with the crit damage buffing one, and the Herda shop with the just all allies damage bonus one. But I'm just saying, if you are someone who is actively using RMC in one or multiple of your teams, and you're confident you will keep using him despite the introduction of Elation MC upcoming in version 4, I would say consider it, right? Consider getting a Hyacine or a Sirene Lycone, depending on the DPSs you're using him with, because it can 100% be worth it. And I myself am seriously considering this for my RMC on my Evernight account, right? This is 100% something I'm considering if I get lucky enough, and if Hyacine reruns in 3.7 alongside Sirene, because of how, not much of an upgrade Sirene is currently for the likes of Evernight and Cassie. I am seriously considering just pulling 2 Hyacine Lycones and putting one on RMC, the other on Hyacine, so my E2 Evernight can just completely shit on endgame content, right? I've already ran the numbers, adding 2 Hyacine Lycones, so one for RMC and one for Hyacine versus the free-to-play options that they usually use, is a direct around 17.5% damage increase. But once again, this doesn't at all include the higher speed increase the light cones as well give, and on top of this, the HP drain, which leads to much more Memoria stacking for Evernight, and this especially applies to someone like me with E2 Evernight. You benefit from this even further. Love you all. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Remember, I'm not telling you to do this. I feel like whenever I give advice or whenever I give my opinions out there these days, people think I'm like trying to force them and grab them by the neck to do this stuff. I just think it's seriously something you all should consider if you're confident you will keep using RMC going into version 4. Love you all. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Peace out.